In this video, I'm going to show you a clip from me coaching my clients on how to talk to career coaching clients and make it easier for them to pay you and feel comfortable working with you. So please enjoy this clip. And by the way, if you are interested in launching your own career coaching business, I'll be launching the Career Coaching Bootcamp 2.0. Information about that in the description. Before we go into sales training, there's a couple of things that I want to point out that I've seen specifically in the job search market. So this training is specific to that industry. The number one reason that people won't buy from you is risk. And the risk is I'll pay you and my problem will not get solved. And especially when there's someone who don't have a job and they don't have a lot of money and they've saved up to work with you. Now, the more money they pay you, the higher the risk tends to be, because what assurance do they have that this is going to work? So in a lot of ways, you're asking these people to take a leap of faith, and a lot of them won't do it because their personality type might be risk averse. They might not trust you, a bunch of other reasons. So when you're on the call, your primary motive is to see how can I reduce the amount of risk they feel. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now there's a spectrum. There are two spectrums, which is the easier something it is to sell, the harder it is to fulfill. So let's say you say, I'll help you get a job and you won't pay me till you get a job. How easy is that to sell?
It's easy.
No problem at all, but it's very difficult to fulfill, right? But if you flip it and say, okay, it's going to be $2,000 and I can't guarantee that it's going to work. Mm-hmm. Now there's so much risk that's come on. So you need to find some sort of midpoint here that you are comfortable with and your client is comfortable with. Mm-hmm. But remember the rest, when you get paid, you need to be very picky about who you work with. Because if you have someone who has no social skills, they can't present themselves well, they have no experience, it's going to take so much out of you to train them and it's not going to get them anywhere. And then you're not going to get a good testimonial or anything either. So when you're on the call with people, you want to tell them that, listen, I can't work with anyone. I need to make sure you're someone I can actually help because there's a lot that I have to do for you, right? So a couple of things that I like talking about on the call. There's a transition that happens in their mind right after you mention the price. If you mention the price and 9 times out of 10, there's going to be some pressure or discomfort they feel when you mention the price, the likelihood that they will tell you how they actually feel goes down significantly low. So for example, they'll be super transparent with you, blah, blah, blah. And you'll be like, yeah, my service is $10,000. Okay. And then we'll be like, oh yeah, let me think about it. I'll go check my budget. I'll go check my horoscope. Let me meditate about it. And I'll come back and I'll let you know. You can't trust anything they say after that point. So all of the prerequisite requirements and objectives they have, you have to bring up prior to the price. So for example, a lot of people will say, you know what, I want to do this next month. I don't want to do this right now. Let me just give me some time. So you want to say, just so I know, how urgently are we ready to get started? How soon do you want to get this thing going? Oh, right away. Okay, perfect. And if we don't do this right away, what's the worst that can happen? How many more months can you go with it in the same situation? You get them to tell you, because once you say it's $1,000, they can't then say, well, I'm going to do it next month, because they literally just told you why it happened. Other things I like doing, I like getting them to make a list of everything that they fear might happen. So let's say you paid me $1,000, right? What's the worst thing that can happen? The worst possible scenario. Like I won't get a job, but my program will suck, or I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I'm giving you crappy advice, all of that. List all those down. And then one by one, you tackle them. Okay. Let's say if you don't like my advice or none of this is working for you, you can get your money back. Would that make you feel better? So you try to comfort their risk level. And at the end, you bring them to a point where it's like, here's everything you're afraid is going to happen. Here are all the reasons it's not going to happen. If it happens, this is a contingency for it. Is there any reason for us not to work together? You see what I'm saying? So these are the things that I like mentioning it, but there's also a structure of how the conversation flows. So I don't want to complicate all these things for you. I just want you to keep a general idea of what we try to talk about.